CQ, CQ, Parks on the Air, Kilo Echo Zero, Victor, India Mike.
To the far spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties, over the fruited plain. But now wait a minute, I'm talking about America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned our good. Yes, he did. Heavy brotherhood from sea to shining sea. You know, I wish I had somebody to help me sing this. America, I love you, America. You see, my God, he done shed his grace on thee. And you ought to love him for it, because he crowned our good. He told me he would. Every brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, Lord, I thank you, Lord.
Oh man, and that just sounds so good. Man, that feels great. Oh, Ray Charles is a treasure. Hey, it's 2200 hours on a Tuesday afternoon. Let's go.
Okay, folks, here's the deal.
I'm at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
This is gonna be a special
one of the most intense trails.
This is the operating station.
That's a bear.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
That traveler has
I just do things.
This is a huge, beastly, bulging man. Plates were from Kansas.
Yes, friends, it's Tuesday afternoon. It is time to just do things. Happy Independence Day, everybody. A few days early. I don't want to do it a few days late, so we'll do it several days early. 250. I don't know if I'm putting too much into the whole 250 thing, but every Independence Day is just pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. And you know, for what we do here on this channel, that song by Ray Charles it's just choice. It fits in so nice. This is such a beautiful country. There are so many wonderful places to go and see, places that you've heard of, and tons of places that you haven't. And trust me, you can spend your whole life looking. You can't see it all. It's that vast. It's that great. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another POTA Elmer Hour. I'm pumped, as you can tell. That song just gets me in the mood. I posted that, I don't know if I think it was last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago, but I think it was last year. A lot of things that I think were last year ended up being 2 years ago, or sometimes 5 years ago. But yeah, that was something we put up there a little bit ago, and that's a lot of fun. Hey, Chris, great to see you. Thanks, you guys, for joining us in the chat. We got Chris and Jeff and Roger McKeon, some regular faces in there. Great to see. And I'm gonna have a question for you guys participating today. What POTA stats matter to you? What do you keep track of? What do you try to go after? What paper do you chase? What gets you motivated to get out there in POTA? And we'll talk about all that here in a little bit. We are leading up here to the Tuesday night premiere videos, which according to the bottom of the screen here starts at 23:02, 23 hours and 02 minutes. We kick it off with Looks like Carlos has the first video, a skydiving video. Jeff is second. K3JRZ with another POTA video. I don't think he's going to be present for the premiere. He was just out doing a POTA with Paul, the Southern Ham, who was out traveling around the Northeast at the moment, and they were just out POTAing like a half hour ago. I couldn't get him from here, but they just wrapped up. So I don't think Jeff will be there for his premiere. And then Grayman POTA is going to have a good one about how he live streams from his Bronco. And having sat in the Bronco, I know that's going to be a pretty good presentation there. So all that starts at 23:02. We'll go right up until that point, and then that will lead into Ham Radio Clubhouse. And I can't tell you what they're going to talk about because I don't even think they know. We got Frank the Tank. Looks like it's going to be on the show tonight. So that should take it off the rails even farther. Should be pretty entertaining there. Check that out at midnight UTC, the Ham Radio Clubhouse. So this is the POTA Elmer Hour. So we want to be available, both I and everyone, all the experienced operators we have here in the chat, to answer any kind of POTA questions that you guys might have. Beginner questions are welcome. Silly questions are welcome. If the question has been asked before, that doesn't matter. You're asking it, and that's what makes it different. We'll answer it all over again. We'll never tell you to go read the freaking manual, though we may get it out and read it together. But that's what we want to be here for, because I know there's plenty of places on social media aren't quite so friendly. But we'll generally try to spur those questions with a little bit of conversation. And today I thought we'd talk about POTA stats. But first, I'll tell you a little bit about field day. Let me know how your guys' field day went, if you did anything for it. I think I'm going to have a pretty good video to put together for mine. I do not have it together yet. I haven't even started on it yet. The editing anyway. I've seen other guys have released their POTA videos, and I think my field day was much busier than theirs. There's no way I would have had time to edit any kind of videos and have them up by Sunday or Monday. No way that's going to happen. But there was some really cool stuff. We had a very successful field day. My club here in Wichita, I would definitely call a good club. You know, we talk a lot on YouTube about good clubs and bad clubs. They're definitely a good club, and they've got some really good mojo right now. They have changed their testing format for the ham radio exams, and they have some classes on occasion too. And I don't know what's going on, but there's just seems to be a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, testing, passing their tests, passing multiple levels, even making it all the way up to extra. And then they start coming to meetings. I think our meeting last month, at the start of June, start of this month, there must have been 30 people there, and I think 10 or 12 were first timers. And a lot of those guys showed up to field day. Some of them hung around for quite some time. The GOTA station was packed all day long, both days really, Saturday and Sunday. It was just really, really successful. It was great to see, you know, and the operating, it wasn't the important part. You know, that's the way it should be. But there was a lot of socialization, a lot of chatting. I think whenever I was operating at the CW station, I was talking to somebody half the time, and that's okay. You know, I don't have any problem with that at all. That's part of what the whole thing is about. But we had a great field day. I hope you did as well. I'll have I got some satellite follies to share. Not only did I set up and run the Morse code station for the club, but I also volunteered to attempt the satellite effort. You know, you only have to get one contact, right? That first contact is worth 100 points. Your second contact is only worth 1 point. So there's not much reason to go beyond one, but you really want that one. And it was kind of a comedy of errors. It'll be one of the better parts of the video that'll come out. But you know what are some highlights? You'll see me walking around acting like I'm Robert, Digital Rancher. You know, I'm the one out in the parking lot waving my antenna up in the air and telling people watching around me what it's like to operate satellites. And they've got their handhelds, and I'm telling them which station they need or which frequency they need to turn to hear the satellite and maybe hear my voice coming back down. And I'm acting like the big smart guy. And I haven't looked at this video yet, but I think you'll be able to see me walking around wearing my belt. You know, all my equipment is hanging from my belt. And I think you'll see my coax dangling unconnected from the transmit radio as I'm walking around talking to all these people and acting all smart. That's how the first attempt went. I had 3 passes. That's how the first one went. I didn't realize I'd messed it up until I picked it up for the second time and I saw that wire loose, and I knew I hadn't undone that coax, so it must have been undone throughout the first entire operation. So that's how it started, and that's kind of how it went, but that'll be a fun part of the video. All right, we got some comments here. Let's see. Chris says, did a little building. I'm not sure what that means. Did a little building. Jeff says he goes after the Kilo Awards. That is a good one. That is a good one. It requires a little bit of some stick-to-itiveness to get to a park a bunch of times and get 1,000 contacts, but not too much. It doesn't take an incredible amount of time, but just enough to make that feel like a pretty good accomplishment. I've just gotten my 3rd Kilo in, how many years have I been doing POTA? 6 years now. Started in 2020, so 6 years. Almost 6 years, and only 3, but hopefully you can get more than I do. I guess that's one of those stats I don't really watch. Chris says he's going for the Hunter Awards, so I'm guessing that means you're looking at, what is it? What are the Hunter Awards? I mean, there's the obvious one, the what's going on here? The number of parks that you've hunted and things like that. Parks hunted. Probably number of times you've activated particular parks or hunted particular parks. Here's hunted all references within a state. That would be a fun one to try. If I was more stationary, that'd be something I can go after. Obviously, I get a lot of Texas. I don't do as well from Texas to Texas here in Kansas as I do when I'm in other places. But here's my 3 kilos over here, Cheney local, and then I got Yellowstone and White Sands National Park kilos there. Parks that I either go by a bunch of times or stayed for a decent amount of time. What other Hunter Awards? There's the Repeat Offender Awards. I'm surprised I'm doing well on some of these as I am. I got a bunch of them that are like 17 and 15 and 14. The Ice Age Floods National Geographic Trail, I've gotten that 22 times. But that's one they've discovered up in the Pacific Northwest that just covers a huge amount of area, and almost anything that you activate along the Washington, Oregon border, and I think a lot of eastern Washington and western Idaho are all part of this this Ice Age floods. So that gets activated quite often, just like the Oregon National Historic Trail gets activated quite often as well. I'm surprised I got as many of those Repeat Offender Hunter Awards. I just got my Repeat Offender Activator Award for my local home park here in Cheney. I'm not really too close to anything else getting that, but that's not really my jam, is it? And then you get down to N1CC. How about those? Was it Chris? You say you go for the Hunter Awards. You got any of those N1CC? What's that? Have contacts with 10 different parks on 10 different bands. And it looks like I have hunted 5 parks with 5 different bands. So I think that makes me a quarter of the way there. Operator hunting. That's another one. So for me, Oh, what else we got here? I got a few others. Takes a lot of gasoline. Yeah, I know how that feels, Jeff. Chris made a POTA performer. My wife is calling me in a live stream. Yeah, how about that, though? I got her name in Morse code. You guys hear that? That's pretty cool, right? That's pretty cool. In a live, what do you need? She just drove somewhere. I got to make sure she's not broken down on the side of the highway somewhere. A 17-foot POTA performer. Chris just made one. Have you had a chance to use it yet? That's obviously people have a lot of success with that one. Hey Kyle, good to see you. I stay away from the performer just because those elevated radials just freak me out. The kinds of places I activate, having wires going horizontally along the ground at about clothesline height, especially for like little kids. I don't think that would do too well where I'm at. I've activated with Greg KJ6ER, and I've seen his typical park setup, and where he's at, it'd be fine. There was hardly anybody up there. But the one of his that I want to try is the one we used when I activated with him, and that was the Challenger Plus, which used a 25-foot telescoping antenna, and then he just attached a little pigtail counterpoise that kind of laid out on the ground. It did have a balun on there. I can't remember, or a transformer. I can't remember what if it was a 9-to-1 or what it was specifically. He's got his plans online. But you had to mess with the counterpoise to tune that part of the antenna, and it was basically an off-center fed dipole vertical, and that was pretty cool. And I especially liked it because there's only one wire on the ground. So you got the tripod set up, and presumably you'd have your choke, your transformer on there. 25-foot mast goes up, and then you've got the counterpoise to tune it there. He did have to tune the whip a little bit too from band to band, but that was pretty slick. And only one wire on the ground compared to, I got 9 on mine, 9 11-foot wires. So I like that. Very little on the ground. Smaller footprint. Chris says that's a 4-to-1. Is that the performer or is that the Challenger? Which one are you talking about there? So for me, what about me? I guess I should do a little bit of the talking as well. What awards do I pay attention to? Well, the biggest one for me traveling is the activated states. That's something that I've worked on for a while here. I've gotten it down to, I've gotten 48 now. So I'm going to start looking for a new statistic, because there's not going to be much there for me to add on. I do plan on adding on Washington, D.C. If not this year, I'll do it next year. We'll be out east for a little bit, and I'll definitely get that one added on. And then it's just a matter of trying to get one of those other two, Alaska or Hawaii. So that's really what I've been focusing on. Yeah, the kilo, when that pops up every once in a while, like I knew we were going to be in Acadia National Park for a while, so I was curious to see when we were up there if I could get that. Why didn't it show the cursor in the right place? It shows it down there on my. That's funny. It shows my cursor on Open Ham Clock, but you can see what I'm highlighting on POTA. Anyway, Acadia National Park, we were going to be there for 2 weeks twice, so a total of 4 weeks. I thought maybe I could get close to a kilo there in that period of time. And I did get off to a really good start, because I got there on, it was summer Support Your Parks weekend, and I did okay for the Support Your Parks event. But then I hung around after it ended on Sunday evening and just tore it up. There were tons of people still hunting. I ended up getting over 300 contacts that day, and a lot of them were after the event actually ended. So that was really cool. And I thought, wow, I got 301 activation. I'm going to rock this. But I just never could. I never could reproduce that again. Unactivated. How many times does it say I activated out there? Repeat offender activations. I got 7 activations there, and so I got half of these 615 contacts in my first activation. It took 6 to add up to that again. Yeah, an Alaska cruise, Kyle. That would be a good idea. I'm trying to figure out some way to hack to get out there. I'm thinking, a flight in the middle of wintertime might be kind of cheap. Maybe that's the way to do it. And if I'm going to activate Alaska, do I want to go up there in the summertime when Alaska isn't really Alaska and propagation is terrible? I don't know. That's what everyone would do, right? Go up there in the summertime? I don't know. I may have to give Jeremy a call and say, hey, I want to come up in January. What can we do? What other, let's see, White Sands, we hit that a bunch of times. Whenever we go west, when we go out west and we come back west, we tend to drive by it. So, I've got a ton of activations out there, or a ton for me, 11. So, and most of those I'm getting over 100. So that was pretty easy. And Yellowstone is just because we were there for, even after I had activated the first couple times a few years previous, we went back to the park for a month. And the family really wasn't interested in seeing the park. They had some friends that were working within the park and they wanted to visit them. So I'd drop them all off and I'd go activate in the park. And that was, that's how I got a lot of that done. That was pretty cool. And of course the home park, I finally got that done. That was my third one. I think it's funny, this list over here. Look at all the activated references, all the activated parks of the individual states, and Kansas is like 6th. I've activated more parks in Maine than Kansas. I've activated more parks in Colorado. I've activated more parks in Texas and Arizona than in Kansas. California more than Kansas. Wyoming more than Kansas. Nevada, Utah, Washington more than Kansas. I don't have time to get out the radio at home. I've been doing that a little bit more this time. So I don't know. I mean, what stat am I going to have to pay attention to now? Because activated states is getting to be kind of done and isn't requiring too much planning there. The one I've never paid much attention to is unique parks. I don't worry about how many parks I activate. I tend to pay attention more to number of contacts. So in an individual activation, how many contacts can I get? And I love to be number 1 down here in activations. I get, oh shoot, that's Kyle on this park. Doggone it. I may need to go back to that one at Gateway Arch, but I like to be at screw this park. Let's look at something else. Screw you, Kyle, and your park. Here we go. Oh, someone's got within 2 contacts of me. Craters limit. See, this is what I like. I like being the top activator in terms of QSOs there. All right, got a message back from the wife here. I may have to cut this off just a little bit early to talk to her before 6 o'clock. But this is something that I've watched quite a bit. Or at least to be on the leaderboard. That's something I like to keep a pretty close eye on. But I'll tell you, as POTA has just gotten more and more and more popular, This has been really hard to keep. You know, it's got to be some real remote areas that just don't get a lot of activity to, you know, for me to be able to stay up there. And you can see I'm with my 615 contacts at Acadia, I'm barely on the leaderboard. You know, it's a hard one to hang on to. Yeah, Kyle, not too many people get out there to the arch and make a lot of contacts. I think everybody gets spooked by the fact that it's right downtown. I don't know. Maybe they think it's going to be noisy. Maybe they're afraid the park rangers are going to get after them. I don't know, but they don't seem to want to get in there a bunch of times for locals or, you know, people visit. A lot of times people visiting don't have a whole lot of time, especially a park like that where someone might just come by and see it in an afternoon, and fitting in time to activate and getting a large number just isn't in the game plan. You know, if they do, just sit in the parking lot and get 10 real quick or something like that, and get the park and get out. What's another one? Here's the one that Kyle likes. Black Canyon of this Gunnison. I'm still up there. I'm still up there on top of that one. This is one that's another one that's kind of way out in the middle of nowhere. So there's not a lot of locals around. It's a pretty low populated area. So there's not going to be a lot of hams in the area, and not going to be those guys that can go out and activate it over and over and over and over again and really get up there. Like that's happened in Yellowstone, because this Gus Parker here lives in the area, and naturally he's going to go out there and activate that one quite a bit, as he should. So you know, I'm not going to be able to compete with that. I'm happy with second there. Hey Andy, good to see you. Glad you could join us. Thanks for joining us from across the pond. We're going to try to take you right up to the Tuesday evening premieres, though I may have to leave a little bit early. The wife's dealing with something with our little dog. There's some decision that we got to make before 6 o'clock, she says. So I may have to leave a bit early to talk with her. Uh, she's got an issue with anal sacs, which is fun to say. Yeah. So what else here? What other stats do I like? Like I said, I really haven't paid much attention to parks activated. I don't know. I don't know if I could even force myself to do that. I'm hunting more now that I've got the station in the RV. So I think those stats are going to start going up. All kinds of people trying to get a hold of me all of a sudden. Yeah, I don't know. You know, to be honest, I think more than anything, I just like to collect POTAs at places. You know, I like to collect these thumbnails. You know, that's really kind of what gets me out there, to be honest, more than anything else. I hadn't really thought about this beforehand, leading into this live stream, but you know, I like collecting these cool views, cool parks, cool experiences. I don't know. I don't want to say it's a quality as opposed to quantity thing, but maybe it's kind of like that. What is the POTA you'll never do again? That is an interesting question. I see Chris said he's got no sound. Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a verification on the audio here. Are we 5.9 or should Chris just refresh? God knows I've had some gremlins jump in here every once in a while. I've just got one person saying there's no sound and some comments coming after that. So I'm thinking, Chris, you might need to refresh. But if somebody else is listening can give me a confirmation, that'd be great. Of course, if you can't hear me, you don't know that I'm asking that. Okay, Kyle says I'm 5.9. Hit that refresh button, Chris, and see if that fixes it. The POTA I would never do again, Kyle. That is an interesting question. I know which one I'm going to get to now. Because it's the one I never should have done in the first place. This one, Lower Falls POTA. And that's right along Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. But that's one where I just got myself in a nasty spot. Okay, sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that confirmation. So what happened here, this is a very busy spot of the park. And the challenge for me was to find a place where I could set up and get this shot. Because this is it's one of the most beautiful views in the country, honestly. And I was just really hard up to share it with you guys, and collect it and have it in a video like we were talking about. So that's not really a stat. But in my brain, it kind of is. And that's something I want to collect. So let's see, I'll pull up my maps here so you can see. But the area is just so developed. There's lots of viewpoints and parking and a lot of the, like if Artist Point's definitely a place to go right here. But, it's real tight walkways. In some places it's boardwalks with side rails. There's no way to leave the trail. And there's just no room to set up a station of any kind. Anywhere there's a view of the lower falls here, which is just fantastic. There was just too many people. There was a spot where I thought I could go down Uncle Tom's Trail here, and maybe there'd be a spot down here where I could activate and have a real cool view of the falls, but it's kind of close up. But it's too close. I'm not getting that spanning view. It's just the falls itself. And I really wanted to capture as much of this landscape as I could. So I ended up at this spot way back here. And the video I saw was a guy hiking down this trail. So there's this parking right along the road here. And there's the main trail that you come down. And there's a lookout right here. And if you go back to here, there's a trail that kind of starts to switch back. You can see it a little bit in the satellite. There's a trail that switchbacks through here. And I saw a guy right where it switched back on the south side here. He just walked out here on this rock. And it looked like it was on bare rock, and it was fine. And he kind of walked out in this area and found a place where he could just sit and enjoy that view kind of all by himself. So I'm generally a person, that believes, strictly in staying on the trail. But there's a few times where you get in parks where it's just bare rock, and it's obviously fine. You can see it's worn quite a bit, and there's a lot of people that have walked through there. And I thought, okay, well that's what I'll do. I'll walk up on that area and activate from there. And I did. And the first thing I noticed when I got out there is that the surface wasn't solid rock, but it was a lot of kind of loose gravel. and on a fairly good slope. So the footing was pretty tiring. I wouldn't call it dangerous. You know, I could maybe slip and fall, but it's not like I was going to roll down a slope, you know, and fall to my death or anything like that. But you know, it would be you know, an embarrassing place to fall, because then the rangers would probably come and say, well, what are you doing there anyway? And why didn't you stay on the trail? But I got up there, got set up, got the activation done, and you know, I got 13 or so, and I'm right below this lookout point right here. And I thought you know, because I'm down quite a bit, I thought I would be out of view of the people up here. You know, they're looking at the waterfall. They won't notice me down here. But sure enough, I've only sat there for like 5 minutes, and I hear some 6-year-old kid here at the top saying, "Mommy, look at that man down there." But so you know, I wasn't as stealthy as I was hoping. But I got the 13 contacts, I think, there, and got out. So then I walked down to this lookout right here. So that's got some really cool views. You know, here's the waterfall, lookout's right here. I hiked down to here, and I look back, and maybe if I go to Google Maps, all right, this image looks a little bit different. Here we go. Here's the trail coming down. There's some of the switchbacks there. Yeah, they got some. Can drop them down here on the trail. So, you know, there's your view of the waterfall, which is that in the perfect spot there. But if you turn around and look back this way, you know, I was up here on this precipice, just kind of right behind these trees, and you see what the terrain was like behind it. Now, again, if I fell, I mean, I wasn't gonna roll off the thing, but it was pretty precarious, and it's certainly not a place that I would advise anyone else go to activate. For one, I think I could have gotten in trouble just being there if a ranger had noticed, because it wasn't the bare rock spot that I thought it was. And you know, you're not too far off from you know, a sheer drop. So it you know, I don't know if we can see in a video, but just from a safety standpoint, I wouldn't go back to that one. But I don't know where else I would have activated in that area. You know, it's tough. I just may not have been able to do it. What the heck is that guy doing now? He's standing there naked saying, "You want to see something cool? I don't want to see that." Okay. Videos. Oh, let's see. I can probably do this quicker at playlists. There's the short format. Good grief, I got a lot of playlists. National park activations, it'll be in there. Got to make a little money here. This is a great time to mention that I'm considering getting rid of mid-roll ads, and I've opened up memberships as kind of a trade-off. So and I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on that, at least on the new videos. But yeah, there's that view up to that precipice. You see where I'm at. You can see it's just kind of right there, you know. So if I'd have fallen, you know, I'd have gone this way towards some trees, but it's just close. It's just a little too close for fools like me and you to be out there jacking around. So that's the one I would never do again. For just that reason. All right, guys, I think I'm going to have to cut this one off a little bit early. We're dealing with a dog issue here, and the wife needs to make a financial decision, I think. So I'm going to have to cut this off a little bit early. At 6:02, we got the first premiere video. That is that's the Falling False Prophet, Parachute Jesus, Carlos, Life at Terminal Velocity has got the first video tonight. So get over there and check that out. And I want to thank you for hanging out with me for this this brief period of time here. Sorry I had to cut a little bit short, but I know you understand. Thank you, friends, for being out there tonight, and have a fantastic evening. Have a fantastic Independence Day, America's 250, guys. God bless America. Have a good one. 7-3.
He was running his rig 20 words per minute with Morse code. I strode up to his station and said, hey man, I got that mode. If you're going to activate Mike, with me you can ride. So I sat at the picnic table and I settled down by his side. He asked if I'd been in a better park to scan across the bands, and I said, listen, I POTA everywhere in this here land. I POTA everywhere, man. I POTA everywhere, man. West Coast to the east, man. Sea to shining sea, man. Activations, I've had my share, man. I POTA everywhere. I POTA at Mayo, Sonora and Coconino, Yellowstone, Sororoscope and Coronado, Ashita, San Juan, Niagara, Chiricahua, Alma, Mackinac, Kilsoquoi, North Willapa, Redwood, Silverwood, Ironwood, Red Rock Canyon, Bryce Canyon, Black Canyon, and Grand Canyon. I'm a champion. Everywhere, man. I POTA everywhere, man. Craters of the moon, man. Salmon, Brook Lake, Bog, man. Activations, I've had my share, man. I POTA everywhere. I POTA Cheney, Willoughby, Sea Rim, Mesa Verde, Acadia, Lake Scott, Cape Cod, Lower Neches, Cascades, Burlingame, Gateway, Arch, Channel Island, Tetone, Zion, Galveston, Padre Island, Camp Creek, Yosemite, Manistee, Ocean Lake, Ross Lake, Hutton Lake, Crater Lake. For Pete's sake, I POTA everywhere, man. I POTA everywhere, man. False parting of the ways, man. Pony Express Trail, man. Activations, I've had my share, man. I POTA everywhere. I POTA Canyonlands, White Sands, Badlands, Lake Livingston, Cheyenne Roads and Lassen, Rainbow Basin, Tall Grass, Sabine, Pass, Assateague, 11 Mile, Four Corners, Dinosaur, Fort Bowie, Jekyll Isle, Marconi, Pollard, Flat Arches, Queen, Wilhelmina, Lake Mead, Catalina. See what I mean? I POTA everywhere, man. I POTA everywhere, man. 40-acre rock, man. Pariah movie set, man. From bottom of canyons I dare, man. I POTA everywhere. I POTA McFadden, Pinnacles, Peterman, Medicine Bow, J.D. Murphy, Butterfield, Picacho, Daniel Boone in Indiana Dunes, Fort Bowie, Blue Ridge, Trap Pond, Camp Creek, Devil's Tower, Golden Gate Bridge, Mount Baker, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Olympic, Dixie, Dickwood, Big Thicket, I've had my share, man. I